Well, good evening. It's Viola Holmes, registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist with you for another evening of nutrition nuggets. The past couple of months, I've spent a lot of time talking about um, sodium, fats, maybe whole grains, just healthy eating strategies. And so tonight I want to back up and do something a little bit different. And I really want to think more about behavior changes and strategies to change certain behaviors that we have, because really, there are the things, there's the knowledge, and often people know, exactly what it is they need to do, but it's the doing it that's the difficult part. And that's where behavior change strategies really come in to help change those behaviors, things that we've been doing for many, many years that we know is not the best for us, but it's really hard to break that chain. So tonight we want to spend some time thinking about, some of those triggers that cause unhealthy eating. And we did some of this when we talked about grocery shopping. We know the trigger, right? You go in the store hungry, you're going to eat too much. So now let's think about some other triggers in our lives. For the person who goes to Starbucks every morning, really, that's a trigger now. That's a behavior. You see that Starbucks over on the right, and you're going to pull into that Starbucks and get your favorite drink. So what if, so that may be something that someone wants to work on. So think about those things, those times. This time of the evening, a lot of people, the trigger is, I always have something sweet to eat after dinner. So what if that's you? And what do you want to do about that? You want to come up with some ways to cope with this particular trigger if it's wanting something sweet to eat after dinner. So what are some other options that you can come up with? If you want something sweet after dinner, can you find a healthier option that would satisfy that sweet taste? Could it be some fruit with a tablespoon of a light Cool Whip? Or could it be a light pudding? Or could it be, some grapes that you put in the freezer? A lot of people like frozen grapes. So if you want to have something sweet after dinner, can you find something else to satisfy it as opposed to something that's really rich that has a lot of calories? Or is that just really a behavior that you want to change altogether? Maybe it's that, I really don't need anything to sweet after dinner. So instead, after dinner, I'm going to, you know, go out and walk around the neighborhood. Or, after dinner, I'm going to sweep the floor instead. So I'm going to try to do something different to break that trigger chain. And so everybody's different. So what works for you may not work for another person. So again, I'm just going to throw out some ideas and some things for you to think about. Or also, I always caution people not to do the all or nothing type of changes, but to make small steps. So if you are used to having something sweet after dinner and you do it, 7 nights of the week, it would be okay to say you're not going to completely take it away from yourself, but you're going to allow yourself to have that something sweet 3 nights of the week. And the other 4 nights, you're going to have, fruit, or you're going to try not to have something sweet after dinner at all. That's up to you. Other kinds of eating triggers in the evening. Right now, I don't know about you all, but right now we're in the pre-March Madness. So what about watching TV and those snacks that we're accustomed to while our favorite show is on or while the game is on? That TV show, that game, it's the trigger for the unhealthy eating, for grabbing the bag of chips, grabbing the sodas or whatever, and going to the couch. So, what do you want to do when you know that this is the problem, this is the issue? Every evening when X or Y comes on, I'm just in front of the TV snacking. So ways to cope with that. Is it that, for some it may be, I'm not going to have any snacks in front of the TV. If I need to have a snack while that show is on or that game is on, I'm going to get up and go in the kitchen and sit at the table and have a portion of snack. That may work for some people. Or is it, I'm going to allow myself a small individualized bag of whatever it is of chips, but I'm not going to get a big bag. And if I need anything else after that small bag, I'm going to have some raw cucumbers and dip, or I'm going to eat some fruit. If you want a different result, you have to do something different, though. So maybe that's not your trigger train. I have a few more written down here. Um, what about, and it's just once a week, but a lot of times we like to go out to eat after church. And so is it the places that we go to? Is it time to try something else? If you really feel like, that meal, or you go out to eat after you grocery shop, which a lot of people do, they spend $250 in the grocery store and then they go out to eat something, or they go and grab takeout. So if the trigger is just after a certain event, or, maybe it's after work, certain days it's headed straight out to eat. What can you do in place of it? Are the places the issue? So can you find a place with healthier options, or do you want to limit the number of times that you go out to eat, after work or after church or after that particular event, if that's the trigger? Because sometimes we get one meal that's really, we say, oh, I'm just going to have this today, that's, really high in fat or not very healthy. It's hard to get back on track. It takes a while. So you don't want, that trigger for that unhealthy eating out to cause you to have a problem getting back on track for a few days. So some other things to think about. Um, there is the Clean My Plate club as well. A lot of people grew up needing to finish their meal, to eat everything that's on their plate. So for some people, the eating too much trigger is that they're going to clean their plate. So if that's you, sometimes I'm just eating this because it's here on my plate in front of me. I'm not really, I'm full, or I could stop eating before I'm finished everything, but I'm used to cleaning my plate. So that's what I do. If that's the case, is the idea to start using a smaller plate. If you're gonna eat everything on the plate, then you're gonna end up consuming less. Or is it that, you need to allow yourself just to say, it's okay, to start kind of talking to yourself about that, because that's really ingrained in some people that, it's okay not to eat everything on the plate. I can put this in a container and I can have it for a meal tomorrow. Or, I don't have to have everything, or cook in smaller amounts. A lot of people eat more because they've cooked a lot and they just don't want to waste food. So think about the cooking and how to store leftovers and items so that you make sure you're going to use them and not waste them eventually. Um, and then share. Another thing is that, you know, if you are single, I know a lot of times people who are single, they do feel like they waste a lot of food if they're cooking. So is there somebody else that you could share, some meals with sometimes, and have a neighbor or somebody who needs something? So think about that, but getting away from that clean plate club and not wanting to waste anything is important for a lot of people. And then, there's some comfort foods that trigger, like, you have great memories of them. I mean, there's certain things I know that my mom used to make that, hey, when I see that or I think about it, it's just a great memory of it. And I like to eat more of it. I'm thinking about, her coconut cake, maybe, I don't know. But, there's just certain things that you have that memory associated with it, and you may eat a lot of it. Or a lot of times that happens around the holidays. So we want to enjoy our food, and food means a lot of different things to people. There's definitely emotional connection. So those kinds of comfort foods and, foods with those great memories, can you have a smaller portion of them? Again, I'm not for taking things away from people, because I know that what deprivation can do in the long run. So always about strategies that allow people to have what it is they'd like to have. So I really hope that nobody's listening who wants to kind of do the all or nothing, because it tends to not work very long. Um, and then what about those healthy things? Now, I'll go back to the example with my mom. I'm responsible for cooking those items now if I'd like to have them. And I know there are lots of ways that I could modify and make those things healthier. I don't have to use whole milk. I don't have to use as many eggs. I don't have to use as much butter. So think about those foods, those comfort things, if you can make them a little bit healthier, Don't want to change your recipe altogether because it's important to you, but are you willing to make some modifications to it? And these are all really behavior change strategies to help you achieve your goals. Um, I always get this. This is what I always get. And it's kind of, we go to a certain restaurant, something that we always get, we enjoy having it, or, this is just what I do. Can you just, think about before you get there again, have it in your mind that I'm going to try something different. I'm going to have something else tonight that's going to be lower in fat or lower in calories, or that's going to be grilled instead of fried, or that's going to, have more vegetables than the usual meal that I get. And then there's just the triggers. You see it, you're coming home from work, or you're, driving by a certain place, or it's a certain drive through. Sometimes you have to take another route. I had some patients who had a really difficult time just because that McDonald's was on their route, or that particular place was there. So, finding a different way, or just being occupied when you get to that place. And there's nothing, more rewarding too than when you're really struggling to want to get to that drive-through that you have driven by it, and that can be a very rewarding feeling for people. So, be mindful of those things, those triggers, because they're so automatic that we're not even aware of them after a while. This is what I do. I'm coming over here to, I get my hair done on Thursday evenings, and right over there beside the hair salon is, whatever Captain D's that I get, this big, fried shrimp meal, whatever. That's just what I do. And so again, it's habit. So is there something else you can get, or can you just kind of breeze by there so that you won't have the temptation to do that? And the same thing at work, or in places, if you're at work and there's the vending machines, or there's the break room that people are bringing food and things back into places of work. So is there a reason, can you avoid, going by that vending machine, that break room area? Is there another restroom on the other side of the building that you can go to instead of the one by that vending machine that has those tempting items in there for you? Or leave your wallet in the car, or if it's safe, or don't have the card with you that you can easily swipe to get, those snacks. And have things with you. You don't want to completely deprive yourself again, but instead of that vending machine, or instead of that drive through, we're going to, have your own foods or items with you. And then what about when you're watching TV? I have so many people that watch, the cooking networks, the food shows, so tempting, and often they can trigger people to to go out and cook these really rich foods, or to get in their car and go to the store, or a drive through or a restaurant, and get something that reminds them of the food that's being cooked. I mean, watching cooking shows at 11 and midnight, at night, and then getting up to eat something, if that's a trigger for you, then perhaps, not taking those shows away completely, but watching one of those shows earlier in the evening might be a better strategy if it's triggering you to eat, late at night, and to eat really heavy foods then. And then there are so those are some eating triggers. Again, there are lots of them. We could go on and on. Let's see. And then, we enjoy sitting and talking, right? At lunch, or when you get together with your friends or whatever. Can you do some things to think about moving more? So can we have a walking meeting, or can we, have a good time? It doesn't have to be a real fast pace, but can we go out and, just get some fresh air and walk while we fellowship and talk sometimes, instead of just sitting? So then, other things that I didn't mention in the eating, but the emotions are certainly tied. Emotions are a trigger for how we eat and what we eat. If we're bored, we'll go to the kitchen to get something to snack on. If we're lonely, some of us have a tendency to go and find something to snack on. So identifying those emotions, being lonely, being worried, being bored, whatever it is, and realizing that, those emotions are causing that eating. And is there something that I can do in place of it? Can I, go and get on my stationary bike when I'm starting to feel bored or lonely? Or can I take a walk? Or can I, pick up the phone and call somebody, so that I'm not eating out of that boredom or out of that emotion. And if, I am going to, if that's what I've been doing, realizing that maybe I allow myself one snack or one something small in that period of time, but after that, I need to come up with something else that can help me get through that emotion. And we often too recommend a hunger scale, and maybe I'll talk about the hunger scale on next week. I just want to go through a couple more things, triggers that cause us to sit more than we should move, perhaps. So again, emotions. So, realizing that that's the trigger and finding a way that you can be active and move. What about, pain? A trigger for not moving is joints hurt or feet hurt. Find something that's low impact that you can do and you can enjoy, you know, um, such as yoga. There are lots of different, stretches that maybe you can do, or yeah, go back to that stationary bike, and there's some even just the bike pedalers that you can put on your floor, sit in your chair and do them. Swimming if you're not opposed to the water. But there are some low impact activities, chair exercises, getting the dumbbells and doing a workout with those, or resistance bands, so that it can actually help your joints. But there are lots of, good exercises out there. Maybe talk to a physical therapist if you need to, or someone to get some ideas to help you through that. And, coming up with a management plan too for that pain is important. And then, that's just always, after dinner, I go to the TV. So what can you do? And again, I'm not taking away the TV, but can you add some activity breaks in there? Or can you be active while you're watching TV? So think about, things to do during that time if those shows are really important to you. Or are you willing to cut back on the shows a little bit to get up and move a little bit more? Whether it's doing something with plants, or just finding a hobby or something that you enjoy doing. It doesn't have to be burning sweat exercise, but just being active. They say sitting is the new smoking because of, how we're just sitting so much, way more than we ever used to. And the pandemic has made that even worse for people. So getting up and just being physically active and just moving. There's so many wonderful YouTube videos to try to be active. Lots of options now. So, think about then over the next week. I think I've covered most that I want to. Those triggers that you might have that cause unhealthy eating, and triggers that you may have that cause you to sit more than you really should be. And come up with a way to cope with that, or a strategy to reduce the unhealthy eating or the limited activity. Okay? So again, thinking about behaviors this week, and think about what's causing you to do some of the things that you may not want to do as far as your nutrition goes. So I think I'll end there for now, and next week we'll probably pick up with some more behavior change strategies. Thanks, and God bless, and I will see you again.